Courts in Florida found it to be constitutional.
Florida's law does have an income tax for side statement provision, right?
Yes.
How soon would this take effect? If it was passed this week or next this summer, would it apply to this election? Is there a date you need to have enacted by or for candidates for this election?
Good question. So let's, best case scenario, it gets out of committee next week and out of the House and gets passed before we break for summer break. And the governor, it would take effect 90 days after the governor signs it. So like any other legislation, it doesn't have an emergency clause in it. So theoretically, people would have to, candidate would have to submit this information before the November election if it got passed before the end of summer.
And the fact that they're already declared candidates, if they've already gone through that process, would that exclude them from having to do this?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a question I haven't thought of. I'm sorry. I'm just brainstorming here out loud. So maybe it's a good question in terms of if we do get this thing passed before summer break, staff would put a clause that current candidates, it should apply to current candidates. I think it's a good question.
That's not in this right now.
It's not in it right now specifically, but I think that's something we have to make clear.
In the process of the legislative process itself, the discussion now begins, and you will find people on both sides of this issue. We intend to make this a discussion, to make it a discussion in legislative committee. We hope that we're going to get this passed relatively soon, instead of waiting around, but the discussion will be ongoing, and you'll be able to find out exactly how some people feel. Look, we understand our position as majority members of the legislature. We intend on having hearings. We intend on bringing people in from whatever walk of life that wants to make this discussion or participate in it, but we intend on passing this piece of legislation.
Have you talked to the Senate, the Republicans, about this at all?
I don't know.
Are there any penalties in the bill for not complying?
Misdemeanor force, if you don't comply, it's like similar other violations of election law, it's an M4.
Why stop at statewide candidates? Why not extend this to all individuals running for office?
Yeah, as we go through the committee process, we're not opposed to that by any stretch of the imagination. We basically took the Florida legislation and used that as the model, so we're not opposed to expanding into our House races and Senate races.
And I volunteered, as I said, I just said that I volunteered to release mine. And we're not opposed to that, but on the other hand, the issue is modeled after what they've done in Florida and its constitutional offices. So we thought, let's start with constitutional offices. Let's start right now. We have constitutional offices that are running in November, and let's clear the air right now. Let's make everything transparent, and let's show people what everyone's worth and let the people know exactly.
Aren't there already financial disclosure requirements in place for these folks, and why aren't those sufficient?
They're not sufficient. All they say is any source of income over $500, so you can't really tell how much you're getting $500,000 bonus from Lehman Brothers or $505 bonus from Lehman Brothers. So it doesn't, as we said, Congressman Kasich had 32 sources of income in 2009. We don't know how much dollar amounts came from what sources. So this makes it more clear, more specific, and really shows people, where you're getting your money from, who's supporting you in your quest for public office.
Yeah, we wrote all these stories and did all these stories back when Casey was putting out his financial information, when the financial information was put out there. We did the stories, and we haven't heard the public backlash to that. It doesn't seem like people are clamoring for more information about Kasey's money. I mean, we hear from Democrats, we hear from politicians, but where are the ordinary Ohioans who actually care about where he gets his money? What are you responding to this?
What can I say? I mentioned the fact that we only have a 25% turnout. People are disgusted with government. They're mistrustful of government. They have reached the point where they don't really think they even want to participate in it. This is one of the tools that we're using to show people that we're at that door of openness. We want to make sure that we're opening it up to them. People have not come up to me and said, gee, I want to know exactly what you make. But what they do think is that, and I'll give you a perfect example. The very first year I got to the legislature, I went back to work on the railroad, and they asked me how much I was making. At that time, it was $40,000 in the legislature. It was $32,000 in the legislature in 1987. And they said, how much under the table, Hagan? How much under the table? And they were totally serious about that, that issue. And I think what we need to do is dispel all that cynicism, dispel all that paranoia about government working behind the scenes and under the table and behind the closed doors, and show them that we're talking about transparency. We're talking about exposing all people and all the monies that are coming into people that are running for government. And that restores the faith in your government. And perhaps we can increase that voter turnout. But you know, I agree with you that there's something that happened in this election locally. I mean, I begged people to come out to the polls. I talked to them about democracy. I talked to them about participating in it. And people threw up their hands and said, yeah, well, it's not going to make a difference. What makes a difference is if you're honest, you're open, you're transparent, and you show them that you're being as forward about all your income and all the issues that are important to them.